All right, hello, and welcome to the first episode of our podcast. It's me, Larry Morris, and co-host Nick Knox, and we will be exploring various amount of topics on this podcast. We're both two guys who enjoy movies, anime, games, anything of that nature. We love talking about it. So, in this podcast, we will be looking at least this episode anyway. We're looking at remakes, reboots, remasters, things of that nature. How has this affected society today, culture wise, and also uh, look into a couple of episodes and recent movies that we've watched and enjoyed, and have some fun talking about it. Kill an hour or two. So we can start with introductions. I'll go first. A little bit about myself. My name's Larry Morris, as I said before. Uh, Originally from Midwest, Chicago. Grew up just loving video games mainly. With that came anime. As I got older, they kind of bled into movies. And now I just love to talk about them, play them, watch them. And at some point, the podcast became part of the plan. Now we're doing this, and I think it's a great idea. So, what about you, Nick?
Yeah, my name's Nicholas. I'm the co-host. Born and raised from Chicago, Chicagoland area. A little farther from where Larry is, but I was sort of run in the heart of Chicago. I grew up liking video games too as well, but anime was really the big thing. Watching Dragon Ball Z on Toonami. I know for a lot of people they want to like Dragon Ball Z on Toonami. Yeah, this was real like 90s type stuff when you like Dragon Ball Z would come on in the afternoon.
Wait, we like all started. I mean, I grew up on that as well, but
I imagine most people our age grew up on Toonami watching Dragon Ball Z, and I'm so old actually. I can remember when Toonami used to have a all Gundam line that would just be like Gundam shows.
yeah,
Yeah.
I actually forgot about that. The whole Gundam lineup. I mean, it was great for that.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I love pop culture. I love movies. One of my big things I love is superheroes. Even though that's probably not a cool thing to say nowadays, with movies like superheroes bombing, but we're gonna talk about that later. But yeah, so excited to be talking to just getting these thoughts out there in the world, and excited to see what people think, like their responses. That's one of the good things about making art is you put something out there, it becomes its own thing, and people respond to it, and you don't really have a say so on how they respond to it. So I'm interested, like I said, just sharing ideas and see what you guys think.
Right. So, get into I would say like the umbrella topic. Remakes, reboots, remasters, nostalgia in general. Um, what do you think about its position today? Like, we have a lot of remakes coming out for various video games. You have some movies come out. Um, in terms of its position today, how relevant it is. How do you feel about it?
I think from the Hollywood's perspective, it's extremely relevant because of the way movies are being made now. It used to be, say, if you had a studio had like what $500 million to make a movie, you would diversify that. You would have maybe like one big budget movie, but then you also have some sort of medium budget like rom coms, different sort of offshoots of the main sort of genres of like drama and thriller and action, stuff like that. The problem nowadays is studios are just have a couple big budget movies coming out and that's it. So like Warner Brothers have a bunch of superhero movies like The Flash, and they have Aquaman coming out, sort of the big movies they have coming out really. And the problem with that is when you put all your eggs in one basket when you're making movies, you have to be as broad as possible. And so nostalgia is a good way to sort of get that money in, if that makes sense, because studios are betting so much money on these movies, and they have to make sure that it's safe. And what's better than nostalgia? It's a property you know of that connects with you and your childhood. So studios want to sort of make the most money they can. And from perspective, I understand that. I'm one of those people. I'm not sort of naive to think that studios are gonna just give away millions of dollars for you to make whatever you want. I mean, some people can do that, like Nolan and Quentin Tarantino, Scorsese. Those are some more established people. But on the most part, when you're betting that much money, you want to be safe in that. But I think studios should just go back to what they used to do. You know, just like have two big budget movies, and then the rest of the money, maybe like 200 mil, into like the big budget movies, and then the rest of the 300 mil just put that into like smaller mid size movies. That way you can sort of have more people coming into the movie theaters. Because right now, I mean, not too many. It's not a lot of movies for like older people, like from like baby boomers, stuff like that. I mean, they're not gonna go see The Flash really, or Aquaman, or like say, you know, it's just the audience is just so broad. It's just hard to. It's not really specific genres for people nowadays.
You think the boomers gonna go see Oppenheimer?
Oh, I think they will. I think Nolan it's Christopher Nolan. I always say Christopher Nolan can make a movie by anything. People go see it, and I'm one of them. I think they'll go see it, and even Barbie to some point. You know, we got.
I see Barbie. I'll go watch Barbie.
Yeah, Barbie's great. You know, and it's nice to see that it's just not superhero movies. You can have movies like Oppenheimer and Barbie, who are not superhero movies, sort of come out and generate a lot of buzz. And I hope Hollywood sees that no, you can diversify your portfolio of movies. You don't got to put all your eggs in one broad movie. But I'm just curious, what do you think about that?
For one thing, I like wholeheartedly agree. You know, seeing Barbie, Oppenheimer come out. Not superhero movies. I'll be honest with you. Like I enjoy superhero movies. I've enjoyed plenty of the ones that was coming out, but it's at a point where it's just too common, man.
Yeah,
it's way too saturated nowadays, and like the ones that are coming out, I don't think they're worth the time to even go see in theaters. Like I'm trying to think of maybe like the Batman movie. What's the name? The last superhero movie that I ever thought was like worth going to see in theaters was probably the Robert Pattinson Batman. You know, I really enjoyed that. You know,
oh yeah,
I've heard different things about it, some good, some bad, but personal opinion, I really enjoyed it. And even now, like with superhero movies, remakes are starting to become a saturated medium. To get the Little Mermaid, not too long. That was like live action remake.
True.
I always go back to this example because it's probably one of the most annoying remakes for me, and that's the another Disney was the Mulan remake.
Oh man, heard that was a stinker.
That was so
stinky,
so bad. Like I didn't. It was 2020, so you know it was during COVID and social distancing, so you couldn't even go watch it in the theater. It was like on the streaming platform, and I think it was charging like $30 something to watch it on the streaming platform.
Oh,
You're already paying for the streaming service, and they're charging like $30 something. I gotta fact check that. I'm pretty sure it's like 30. It was around $30 to go and watch it on the streaming platform, and it was atrocious. It was atrocious, and you know we're talking about like remakes and you know them bringing up things from our past to tap into nostalgia, like oh get us someone to go out and see it. With the trend that they have right now with pushing out these movies based on cashing out on nostalgia, for me it kills like any of the enjoyable memories that I had for it previously. Like you just took what was good, brought it back, killed it. Now this association's there. You know, hey, can you put out this stinker of a movie? And it wasn't even that close. It deviated quite a bit from the original. So, like, why call it a remake?
True, yeah.
There was too many things that was different from it that didn't even feel like the same movie once I was watching it. And I went through the whole thing, you know. I trooped through that whole movie. And that was
props to you, man.
Probably It's hard to say. I will have to watch it again, even though I don't want to. I have to watch it again. But I probably say about 30-40% of that movie was fresh ideas added on, and they weren't even good ideas. You know, if you're gonna make a remake, I say stay true to the original. If you're gonna do a live action Mulan remake, stay true to the original story. You know, I wouldn't say like for beat, but don't go off the path so far where this just feels like something completely different.
True.
You know.
Yeah, Disney has been. I mean, their live action remakes have been just the most like atrocious in terms of like the nostalgia stuff. Because I remember the Lion King. I didn't watch it. I watched like a couple trailers for it, but just seeing the lions, they lose the expression that they had in the animated. It's not translated well. So you're watching it, just like certain scenes where Mufasa tells Scar it's that challenge, and in the animated one, it's like so expressive. You can feel sort of his rage. Like, are you challenging me?
Yeah.
But in the live action one, it's just so bland. It's like, are you challenging me? And just he doesn't have the expression of it. He just lose it. You just lose everything that made the original work well in animation. So I think Disney just needs to just like slow down on live action. Just go back to making original content. A lot of the original content. Even though I hate Frozen, but even it was still original. People liked it. People can still connect to new stuff. I feel like Disney needs to try a little bit more. And to be fair, Pixar has been doing that. They have a new movie called Elemental that's been doing. I heard at first it wasn't doing well, but now it's doing well since it has the international release to it. But yeah, Disney's just been really bad with their live action. I think the only one I've actually enjoyed was the Jungle Book, the one they did with Jon Favreau, who did Iron Man. He worked on the Jungle Book one for Disney. And that one was pretty good because it did its own thing, but it worked. It didn't feel like it was a remake. It felt like Disney was, even though it was a remake, but it didn't feel like it. Sometimes these things come down to, well, the movie's good, it works. if it's bad, it doesn't work. But yeah, definitely Disney. It's been pretty bad with that, just with Star Wars in general. And I've always hated the new Star Wars trilogy and just how it just tries to cash in. I mean, the first one is just like a blatant rip off of Force Awakens. It's just a blatant rip off of New Hope, and I was okay with that because I was like, okay, now that you got the established first movie, now we can move on to the second one. And then they tried to do something different with the second one, but it was just bad. It's bad to point. The Last Jedi was bad to the point where just thinking about it makes me angry. It's one of the movies just like thinking about it just like makes me angry. Because the worst part about it is that it tries to do something new, but at the end of the day, it goes back on everything, and you start off where you begin. The movie starts off with them trying to escape the First Order. The movie ends with them escaping from the First Order, in almost the exact same way, and it's just like, why? I mean, Rian Johnson. It's weird because Rian Johnson is a good director. He did Looper, which was a good movie, and he did this was after, but he did Knives Out, which is I seen two, which was a good movie. We watched that together, and he just dropped the ball so hard on The Last Jedi. But yeah, I just
you think it's like the studio, more so like the studio and like in his ear, like telling him like it has to be like this, it has to be like that.
Actually, I think it was the opposite in this case. Kathleen sort of gave him the reins to do whatever he wanted with The Last Jedi. And part of that is like, okay, that's nice, but it's still a second movie in a trilogy, so you have to be aware, okay, I can do stuff different, but there's a movie before me and there's going to be a movie after me, so I have to work in that sort of space. It feels like he didn't care. It's like, it's just, I'm making a Star Wars movie. I'm gonna do whatever I want in it. If you forget the third movie, like I don't care. Like I got mine. So you got to get yours. Whoever was directing the third one, which was J.J. Abrams. But yeah, sometimes you just whenever you work in the studio, there has to be a balance of, okay, I'm making a studio movie. there's a lot of money involved, so I have to be conscious of that. But at the same time, that can't be a shackle. And sometimes limitations are a good thing. I don't necessarily think limitations are bad. Some artists need limitations. I always think of, yeah, I think of Wonder Woman. Like the first Wonder Woman had limitations on it in terms of what Pat Jenkins could do with it. And it came out a good movie. She did Wonder Woman 84, and I could only watch, I think I got 10 minutes, 20 minutes in, and I just turned it off.
You never finished it.
I never finished. I got 20 minutes in, like, this is some cringy shit.
Like, okay, I haven't seen it, so that might save me some time not having to go see it. But I hear too many good things about it. I don't know, man. It's just this bad trend of just not good movies, and I wish this wasn't the case. I'm trying to figure out how we could, it could turn around. Like, you could change this. Like, what needs to happen?
But for my theory is that, and this is why the reason why the writers on strike, Hollywood to me just does not have respect for the writing process, because the writing could take anywhere from, like, maybe it takes a month, maybe some people can write a script in a week, or maybe it takes a couple years. I've seen like writers write scripts for years before they got it right. But nowadays you have it where, like, you have a release date, and it's like, okay, the writer has to accompany that release date, and it just comes out as just like a mess because you don't have the time. You kind of like a gun for hire, where it's like, okay, you do this in this amount of time. Okay, you can't do it. Okay, you're fired. That's why a lot of movies have like reshoots. Like, reshoots are fine, but like you've seen movies where, like, I'm seeing movies now where like half of the movie is being reshot. I'm just like, how? Like,
throwback. What is that?
Yeah, like how you should be shooting half the movie? It's just like you're not taking time for the most important part is writing. Just like give the writers time to make something great. Like stop coming out on Comic Cons like, yo, we got 10 movies coming out. Here's the timeline, guys. Look forward to them. And then like the writers are like, you don't even have writers for these things yet. It's like what like Marvel does this. Like they got like 20 movies coming out and all release dates and no scripts at all. And then wondering like, why are these movies such a mess? Like, just take time for writing. It's some other stuff that can go into making movies better in terms of like hiring new talent, letting actors act, paying people the right wages, like paying people right. But at the core of making anything movies, the script has to be correct. Until Hollywood's slows down and have respect for writers to make great work, it's gonna you gonna continue to get stinky poo poos at the box office for sure.
Speaking of like development hell, it's a bit of a side topic, but like the you like heard about the Borderlands? Maybe like how that's in development hell.
I've known that it's been a while. It's been productive for a while. Yeah. What's going on with that?
I forget the guy who's was originally like directing and producing, but he took his name off of it. Like he doesn't even want to be a part of it anymore. Damn. So it's like, they had you could see shots online of the different actors and actresses they have in it, and like in the costumes. I think they have like Jack Black as which I find to be hilarious, and I like to see that happen. Let's see, Kevin Hart. I think he's playing Roland.
Oh my god,
which is an interesting
choice
for Roland. But hey, you make it happen. I like Kevin Hart too, so let's see what you do. But like, it's not getting anywhere. From what it sounds like, it's just not getting anywhere. They don't have a good idea of like the direction to go. Maybe it's like a creative disputes, but I don't know too much details of what's going on. But the biggest news that's come out recently was that like he just took his name. I gotta get the guy's name. Jeez. Look it up. But he just took his name off of it. He doesn't want to be a part of it anymore. And that's so sad to see.
Yeah.
Because Borderlands is one of those things where I grew up playing them, loved them. Um, it's had its bad moments in terms of video games, and we discuss the video games like in terms of nostalgia. I guess it's a good one, yeah. Like nostalgia wise, it's had its bad games that kind of sullies the name um, of Borderlands. And now they got this movie coming on. I was kind of hyped for it. Not gonna lie, I was pretty hyped to see a live action Borderlands movie. But another thing, uh, when it comes to like making live action versions of things, it like the craziness of Borderlands cannot translate over
Yeah.
to live action. I have no idea how they're gonna bring out all the crazy shit. At least an ounce of all the crazy shit that happens in that series. I don't know if you've played it.
I've seen gameplay of it. I haven't sat down and played it, but I've got to. I've heard only good things about it.
Yeah. Well, you got all types of crazy shit going on in that game. One of the enemies, you shoot them enough, their neck like stretches out and they get like a really long neck and it's just a skull just running around chasing you. Like how do you bring that to live action? People who know the game, who know the series, they're gonna be looking for us. How much from the game can you fit in the movie and make it look good, and give us just a taste of in a different medium. Give us a taste of it in a different medium. I don't see it. I don't see it happening. And in a way, it makes me kind of afraid to see the final product. If the final product ever comes, I don't know what they're gonna do with the movie now. Find I gotta actually look this up. But I will ask you while I'm looking into this real quick. What about you? Like, what stands out in terms of remakes and these reboots? What's a good one? What's a good one that stands out? What's a bad one that stands out to you?
A good one would be we talked about Spider-Man. Across the Spider-Verse is a great example of it, where you're taking this ideal and you sort of recontextualizing it in a new sense, where the Spider-Man is about great power comes great responsibility, and it's still main theme across the Spider-Verse. But what's across Spider-Verse does so well is that it takes that and it sort of elevates it with Miles and gives you a different perspective on there. And one of the things I like that the director's done with the movie is that Spider-Man has a canon. So like you have the canon events, and it's sort of like, okay, this is what happens in every single Spider-Man adaptation, whether it be comic books, TV shows, movies. This has to happen. And it's sort of kind of like the fans' perspective in terms of the comic book movies, where comic book, I don't know if you ever been on comic book Twitter. It fucking sucks.
Twitter.
It fucking sucks. Oh my god! But those are kind of like the comic book fans was like, this it happens in the comic book and it has to happen just like this, or else it sucks. And it's like, and so the Miguel becomes sort of the voice of that, and Miles is like, no, I'm gonna do my own thing. Like I don't have to be like, why does Spider-Man have to do that? So that's a good idea to me of like a remake of nostalgia. And we talked about it too. The Lion King would be like a bad example where you're taking something and you're actually not adding anything to it. You, it's like an empty husk. You're just taking like the husk of it. You're making something. Whereas everything we loved about the original Lion King, you're losing that in the remake. Nothing's there. It's just sort of like a meat suit. That's sort of the best example of it, where you're not adding anything. It's nothing new to it. You're just sort of cashing out on it. But I'm hopeful that people can look at stuff like the Batman or Across the Spider-Verse and see that even with nostalgia and superhero movies, that people like superheroes. People superheroes are something like Star Wars, where they touch on that ancient sort of good versus evil. I think that it's never going to go away as long as humans exist. As long as we consume art, we're always going to have a fascination for the basic good versus evil stories. But like I say, the problem is when that's the only thing coming out, and you're not doing anything with it really to sort of elevate that, to bring it into a new age. And that's just it. That's what I liked about the Batman. Was like I really was not gonna watch the Batman. Honestly, I'm just like I'm so sick and tired of Batman. I was just so fed up with Batman. And the only reason I watched it because me and Calvin's a friend of ours. We were at trivia one night, and they were like, "Hey, you guys want to see the Batman after this?" I'm like, "Okay, I guess if you guys are gonna watch it, I guess I'll go watch it." But I just loved everything about the Batman, especially the Riddler. I mean, it's a perfect example of taking something and sort of reinventing it. Where you have him, he's more based on sort of the Zodiac killer, and he's still living riddles, but he's the character. The Riddler to me sums up the perfect sort of how to remake something or do something different. The character is different from the comic books, but the soul is still there. Whereas he's completely different in terms of experiences, motivations, but at the end of the day, the Riddler is still sort of this pathetic character in a sense where he's super smart. He knows he's super smart. He knows everything, but he's still limited in terms of his sort of emotional intelligence. So this is development, and to me, that's what I loved about the Riddler and the Batman and just the Batman in general. The characters are different from what you know from comic books, but the soul of those characters are still there, and that's all I can ask for me in a remake. And
it's like a way darker tone from like at least the Riddler, the earlier Riddlers. He's smiling, joking, throwing out riddles left and right. Nice suit. At least the Riddler comes to mind for me is like nice suit with the fucking crescent marks everywhere. Yeah. And then seeing that one, it was a stark difference. And I also enjoyed the performance. I think you hit it right on the head. He embodies who uh, who at the core, he embodies what the Riddler is. It's just a different look, a suitable look, especially for that version of Batman. I think it worked very well, and like even compliments Robert Pattinson's role in that movie as well. Um, but we've been hitting mainly just movies, Video game wise, that's kind of similar, different ball game to a degree. Um, give me a good one, bad one. Do you have one for those?
For video games, in terms of sequels, I know the new Halo I heard is pretty bad. New Halo, I stopped at the 4. I played Halo 4. That was sort of my last Halo games, but those I've heard those are pretty bad. But I know a good example. I played a little bit of it is the new Sony Spider-Man games that have come out. That's pretty good in terms of like nailing the villains, Peter Parker, in terms of the whole vibe. I hate the suit, but that's the only negative I have about that. I don't really. The suit is too complicated for me. It's like Spider-Man's like red, blue, and then you have the black on it. It kind of blends. The white just sort of. It's like when you make it a dish and you had to have the right amount of stuff. And to me, that the white just throws the dish off a little bit. But other than that, like every day.
I felt the same way first time through it as well. It it was distracting.
Yeah.
At some points. But yeah, I agree. This beautiful, beautiful game. I can't wait for the second one to come out. Whoever they're giving control of like the Spider-Man games, Spider-Man movies, they're not dropping. They're not spilling anything making these, and that's good to see. Um, I can't say I ever saw like Spider-Man being like the one thing that's been consistent in terms of the media, but I think I'm pretty big Spider-Man fan. Reading old comic books. They used to come in Chicago Tribune. They used to send like comic books, Spider-Man comic books, like the classic ones. And I used to collect those for a very long time. Left them all back home, but it's like my favorite when it comes to heroes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, maybe that's a easy choice. I think Superman is probably more of an easier choice for people. Love Spider-Man. Love seeing his stuff. His remakes. Not even remakes, I guess reboots. I would say the game is probably more reboot. You got Miles Morales too. and
Oh,
like he
yeah.
had him on. That's
Yeah.
so perfect, absolutely perfect. See, a good remake. Another, at least for me, a good remake would be like Demon Souls. 2020 Demon Souls was a really good remake, and I guess you can't get confused with like the different. At least with video games, you gotta. I consider it a reboot. I think some people consider it a remaster, but uh, I'm not sure. It might be remaster. It might be a remake. Um, it's more than just like a graphical update though. So I think it's a remake. I may be mistaken, but either way, it's a beautiful game. I don't know if you played the first one. Um,
No, it happened, but I've only heard good things about it.
so the first one was, I guess, the start to the Soulsborne series.
Mm-hmm.
You have Demon Souls and the Dark Souls series came, and then uh, that went through it, and Bloodborne and Elden Ring, all in this umbrella of Soulsborne. And this was the first one. So when they made the remake, absolutely hype. I played the first one when I was like 13 or something like
Oh
that.
man.
And I spent probably like the first 3 days of that game just dying, getting my ass kicked at the start of enemies because it was a hard ass game.
Sounds like a Souls game for sure.
And it was first. I don't know how far back it goes, but I think it's one of the first of its kind. I may be mistaken that, but I think it's one of the first of its kind. And seeing the remake, they just took like the graphics, they tightened up the gameplay, the controls, added some new content to it as well. That's how a remake should be done. It's to stick to the original and add on to it in a way that it can only make it better. And that was rumors going around that it's gonna be like DLC coming out for it, uh, like a snow biome, something like some old ideas that the studio had that never came to be. At least I never saw them. But playing through it, all I could feel was like this is the nostalgia that I want. Like I'm going through these old areas. I'm seeing like these old enemies I haven't seen in shit over a decade. It's like and like old monsters that were like stomping my ass when I was a kid, stomping my ass now, and now I'm an adult. And like it feels good. Like it's always a good feeling with nostalgia. Like it should always be a good feeling with nostalgia. And I'm worried like a lot of the stuff coming out today, like I've said before, it's gonna just ruin that feeling, and you're just not gonna have good feelings that you can relate to these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's a scary feature to think about other things that Hollywood will put out, that these big AAA studios will put out, and they just drop the ball. And like for our generation, for me, you growing up, let's go back to Disney, because Disney is very easy to bring examples of. Let's go back to Milan. Our generation's Milan will probably be most people will probably say it's the animated one. Well, next generations, they may have the 2020. Like, yeah, like that's our Milan.
Oh my god, that's bad.
It's pretty bad. Or like, let's see, in terms of video game, the GTA trilogy. I don't know if you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Rockstar. I would say that's like a remaster. I'd say that's remastered more than remake. They remastered Vice City, GTA 3, and San Andreas. And that dropped the ball. They dropped the ball. Now I don't know how. I don't know how Rockstar would manage to pull that one off. But they dropped the ball on that so hard. Like graphically, it like the shading looks better. I guess pixel count looks better, but then it just looks super fucking choppy.
I heard that was like a buggy mess.
Yeah, buggy mess. Absolutely ridiculous to see. Disappointing to see, especially from Rockstar.
Mm.
It being one of those studios that I also grew up on, playing all the GTA games, Max Payne, Manhunt. Those really really good games that put Rockstar on the map among all the other stuff that they've done. Um, like, I just feel like there's been a loss of passion in the gaming industry. There's been a loss of passion in the movie industry. Um, and us being fans watching it happen is like just killing this stuff, and we just have to sit back and watch it happen and can't do anything about it because we don't have any control over that. Like, they say like, oh, if you're a fan, get out and let people know, like let the studios know how you feel. Well, people have done that plenty of times.
Sure, yeah.
They don't care. They don't care about any of that. At the end of the day, try to get something out. They get you a paycheck, get the studio some money, make your publisher happy, make your shareholders happy, and you're good. You know, damn to the consumer who's actually going to be paying. I don't know how much GTA Trilogy was when it came out, but like $70 for a game nowadays. Damn us, and we're the one paying. It hurts. It hurts seeing a lot of this stuff. GTA Trilogy hurt quite a bit, and it just makes me worried about GTA 6 when it comes out. Eventually.
Hopefully this lifetime it comes.
No, it's definitely gonna happen this lifetime. I don't know, maybe like the next 5 years. Whatever Rockstar wants to do with it's gonna happen because that's money to be made there. They know that people are waiting, holding their breath, waiting for that game to come out. But
I think the problem with Rockstar is I think they just got lazy with success. Cause like GTA 5, it has to be the most profitable video game of all time. I can't imagine. I think so. Just in terms of sales and the microtransactions they get from it. I remember playing Red Dead 2, playing online, and it was a terrible experience. There was just no economy in the game. It was hard for you to make money, and it was just like bare bones. And I remember being so upset that because Rockstar was thinking was like, "Hey, this is a beta. You can play our beta game online." It's like, okay, this is a beta. Why are you charging me money? Why do I have to spend money to get like to in-game currency? Like, you shouldn't be charging me that from beta. I'm supposed to be testing out your game. That should be the point of a beta. But I just think Rockstar just made so much money off of like GTA 5 online. They don't really care.
No,
and I think it comes to a point where like people just have to not buy this stuff. I think movies are gonna change. I think movies are gonna head in a great direction because movies are not making the money they should be. Like The Flash is bombing, Shazam 2 bombed, Little Mermaid and Ant-Man and the Wasp, they underperform. I think all these movies are either bomb or underperforming. I think once these studios started losing money, I think they're gonna listen. I think that's what happened with the Snyder Cut. I don't know if you followed that, but there was a version of a movie called the Snyder Cut of the Justice League. It came out originally was the Whedon cut. People hated it. It was terrible. And Zach came out and said, "Yeah, I have a cut of the movie," and it was like, "We want to see this." And what happened with that one, what made it unique, was that a lot of fans just came together. I mean, fans were like marketing, they were like buying posters for stuff to come out, and they eventually did release the Snyder Cut. I've seen it twice. They had two editions. They have the regular Snyder Cut and they have the Justice is Gray, or the movie's in black and white. But I believe if fans just stop buying stuff, like, you gotta stop buying it. Yeah. Movie fans are doing good. Video game fans aren't so good at this. But yeah, I think if fans just came together and just like really just put their foot down, I think they'll listen.
Hit them in the wallets, right?
Yeah.
Hit them in the wallets. All right. Well, I say we've discussed it a good amount. Let's change gears a little bit. And also with this podcast, we also want to throw in like one or two things that we've seen recently, whether it be a movie, a show, or something we played recently, a video game, and discuss it together. Most likely, we would have seen it together. We usually go out and watch movies together and discuss it later on. But now we got the podcast going. We can do it here. So let's transition over to Bleach, Thousand Year War. We watched that earlier this week. What do you think?
I'm enjoying it so far. As a disclaimer, I've read the manga, so it's always interesting to see the anime version of something you read or something you've looked at. And what I like about the anime is that it's sort of expanding stuff that the manga has sort of left untapped. Talking specifically, I know I was watching Jujutsu Kaisen and they were doing that, but the Bleach anime it's done a great job at that too as well. Just in terms of the visuals, how it looks, how the Quincy's look, and like them coming out the shadows and their different techniques. We saw the one Storm Reader with the Gatling gun.
Okay, yeah, that was more overkill. What are you fucking pulling Gatling gun? I mean, it's badass, but I did not expect him to pull out a Gatling gun. Like that was ridiculous. I do have to ask though, because I haven't read the manga. No spoilers or anything like that. But like, how powerful do these characters get?
They get pretty. I mean, the power scaring gets ridiculous, especially with Yuha. I mean, Yuha just like he just break. He just I can't even know it. He just breaks everything. But I would say for the Quincy's, you haven't even seen their sort of version of Bunkai. They have their own sort of Bunkai form. They haven't even used that yet. And
they've been shitting on Soul Society, and they haven't even used that Bunkai.
Yeah, they haven't, because I don't remember early on in the first part of the Contour. Ichigo was in Reiko Mundo. He's fighting that one Quincy, and he had his release form where he like had the wings and he absorbed.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I do remember that. So that was like their version.
Yeah, it's kind of like that version of Bankai, and we haven't even seen theirs. But I would say the Soul Society, don't count them out yet, man. I mean, they certain people have been putting in work. I would say
true.
We got a lot coming on, but it's just interesting to see people go from being like super weak to like one of the strongest characters in the series. Like Uryu is like that, where like he goes from being like maybe Uryu is maybe like lieutenant level at best, and he goes from that to when he gets his letter, he gets his A. He goes to being just like head captain level. But yeah, like I said, the Bleach anime has just been very good. The pacing has been pretty good as well. There's one scene that showed up in trailer that wasn't in the manga where a captain uses his Bankai. I don't want to spoil it for you, but this guy uses his Bankai, and he uses it in like a novel that they did, Bleach. I forgot what it was called, but it was like a short novel they did. But it never happens in the manga, so I'm excited for that. And they also announced there's gonna be some new fight scenes that showed up in the manga. I mean, in the anime that hasn't showed up in the manga. But one of the disappointing part with the manga is that it's just sort of sped through things. Like it gets to a point where just like things are just happening like in rapid succession. Like, yo, slow down, take your time. Like you got a lot of like sort of concept that you're introducing, but there's no time to sort of expand on them. I'm hoping, the characters, different powers, just different, just ideas in general, just introducing and then they're going like a couple chapters. So I'm hoping the anime can take its time and just sort of slow down and sort of expand more on it. And fix those corrections, because that's the one thing about adaptations. Like it's a good chance to sort of take the material and elevate it, but also just fix what didn't work into the new medium. The Boys is a show on Amazon Prime. They do well. The comic book for The Boys I heard like is terrible, but like the show takes it and elevates it. So I'm excited to see what else they do with the Bleach anime. But so far it's just been great.
Yeah, it's been loving it. Like the action scenes, so intense.
Yeah,
like there has been a lot of introductions of like new abilities, new powers, and I will say, Shuifon,
Yeah, soy phone.
When she came out with that new,
Junko, yeah.
yeah, when Shuko, I was like, okay, that's badass. But then, she did like a brief explanation. Like I'm used to in animes, they spend a good, 2-3 minutes like explaining what this is. And like we see it, and then she just goes, right into it. Like it's been very fast paced, and I don't mind it.
Mm.
And hearing what you say from the manga, and like you have some new fight scenes that they want to add in, that's that's hype. I can't wait to see it. Like this has been a pleasure to watch, especially from watching um, the old Bleach. Back in the day, I think I stopped following. It's too many episodes. They do get pretty long. When they were really just dealing with their Rankai, that's when I started falling out.
Okay.
And
Is there a reason why?
I think it was just overload. Like I was watching anime way more back then, but I was also watching a lot of anime at the same time. I was watching, Naruto, Shippuden, Bleach, and like other shows like that have a bunch of episodes. It got hard to just keep up. I started falling into more of the 12 episode anime. Give me that.
Yeah.
Start it, can finish it, move on to the next one. I'm not trying to stay for hundreds of episodes. Hundreds of episodes. I just start falling out of that. I guess it's just as I got older. I didn't have as much time to dedicate to anime as I used to, and that also led to just sticking to the shorter runs. Um, but I know it was good, and like I see the culture, I see the communities, and I see all the fan art from the characters. And like, all right, it must, I see some of the fights. Sometimes I just go on YouTube and just watch some of the best fights from, that show, from that. What would you call it? Like, not chapter, but
The arcs.
yeah, arcs. Yeah, thank you. Some of the best fights from that arc. So I've seen some of those, and they always look badass. But I just could not stick to. Filler kills me. Filler actually absolutely kills me, man. That's also one of the things that ruined it for me. I know they have. I never actually used one. I know they have those lists. People make lists where it's just all the episodes you need to watch. Cut out all the filler episodes and just stick to these. Maybe I need to do that. Go back and just watch all the episodes that are worth watching, that keeps the plot going. But
How do you stick with Naruto, man? Naruto has like one of the worst fillers.
Oh, I didn't stick to Naruto too.
Okay.
I didn't,
Hey, Naruto is oh my god, the fillers are atrocious. These fillers at least entertaining, but like Naruto, it's terrible.
Yeah, Naruto was the start. It was started with Naruto falling out with that. Then Shippuden came around, and sticking to nostalgia. Wanting to see all my favorite characters older, growing, new power. Naruto doing Naruto things, power creeping. But after a while, it's like I'm starting to see the same story, again and again. Characters who got more screen time. Let's say the original Naruto take a background, take a step back as the series goes on. So I think I stopped probably around like the big war at the end, and that's just like jumping in between getting to that point. Like I didn't see everything in between reaching the Great Ninja War or whatever it was called. But I did watch the war. I would say that was pretty fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
After I finished with that, then I heard they was making what's it called, the Boruto, and I was like, I'm not even starting that. I'm not even getting involved.
Oh god.
I'll go the other direction. And that was the end for Naruto for me. Bleach, yeah. And crazy part is, I probably seen more Naruto, but I've enjoyed Bleach way more. Like I think as a show, character wise, fight scenes, powers, I enjoy Bleach way more than Naruto. So watching Thousand Year Blood War, man, it's a breath of fresh air.
True.
And if it ever gets back to the people who's working on Thousand Year War, keep it up. It's a beautiful show.
Oh yeah.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's nice to see them bring back the Quincy because Bleach has always talked about, the
Yeah.
biggest rivalry has been the Soul Reapers and Quincy's. And I remember when they say like all the Quincy's are dead. I remember thinking, is that true? Really? All the Quincy's are dead? I always find that like hard to believe that they just killed all the Quincy's. So
The winners are saying the coincidence are
exactly. I never believed that. And Bleach answered. I remember when the final arc with Bleach and Ichigo versus Aizen happened, and the show originally ended. I had a couple questions. Who are the Zero Divisions, and who is Soul King? Those were the two big questions I had because Bleach mentioned the Zero Division in the Turn Back the Pillinger mark briefly because when Kisuke gets promoted, um, the reason why is because the captain of the previous squad went out, got promoted to the Zero Division. It's like, yeah, this is the Zero Division. It's like it's a squad of all captains. Like, oh, these guys are badass, and he never talked about it again. Just never, yeah, he's Zero Division. Yeah, he just guard the Soul King, and then mentioned the Soul King. Aizen was trying to replace him. That was his whole plot was just to replace the Soul King. And I was like, man, there's so many questions left unanswered. I wish we could get an answer to those. And the Thousand Year Blood War does that, but it just doesn't handle it in the best way that I think it should have. And I don't know if people were rushing Kubo to try to get the story out. I don't know what's going on there because I know My Hero has had that problem where like they're rushing the mangaka to make it, and then the story sort of gets hurt because it was one arc where they like the villains. I was like, man, I wish they would have expanded that arc a little bit more. And then he talked about it. It's like, yeah, they wanted to rush because people like the heroes more. They thought, the show and the editors thought that people would be more interested in the heroes, so they wanted her to get the villains arc. But to me, villains have always sort of been one of my favorite parts about, the good versus evil stories.
like you need to get antagonist before your protagonist.
Yeah, that's what makes Bleach good. I mean, you got Yuha, man. He's a real good villain. He don't play though. That's one thing you don't play.
That guy is fucking up everything. He's taking names, doesn't care. And like, I want that to be that person that gotta beat this guy. Um, a great villain. I don't want him to win. Don't get me wrong. I don't want him to win. How many villains that I wouldn't have cared if they actually won. Not one. Not one comes to mind. Think about it. But don't want him to win. But I want to see how close he can get to winning. You know what I mean?
True, yeah.
That's that feeling of desperation in a story that I absolutely love when I'm watching anime. Like things are looking grim. They're looking pretty grim right now.
Yeah.
They're looking pretty grim right now in the show. And I want to see how people overcome it. You can't do that without a villain to give them focus to overcome them. So I think he might be one of the better ones I've seen in recent years.
True.
In terms of antagonist characters in anime. But I guess I gotta wait and see what else he does going down the line. Maybe I should start reading the manga.
Yeah, if I watch anime, I'm like, I can't wait. I usually just read the manga. Like that's what I did with Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer and Chainsaw Man. I was like, man, I like Chainsaw Man anime was coming out. Like, oh man, I wanna get some Chainsaw Man. So I started reading the manga, and it's.
Is it worth like just reading the manga and then going into the anime or?
So far, it's been a bad experience for me. Just like reading the manga and then watching the anime just to see like, okay, this is the original material and how they're expanding that. I think you're gonna have a good experience regardless, but it's just something even better about like why did something get elevated that makes sense. Like, oh man, this is what was and this is what could be, and they did it.
When's the next episode too? Like,
I think they drop every Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So should be one coming out today.
oh yeah, shit, this comes out today. Yeah, we'll be watching that then.
Yeah, hopefully.
And then hopefully another episode down the line, we'll probably come back to Bleach when something else pops off. Another good fight episode. I hope they don't do what they did last time and just like end it so suddenly. That was so sudden of an ending for the episode, man.
Sure, yeah.
I, what was the cliffhanger? He get like a message or a call from somebody. It's like something just happened, and then it just the episode was in. That
Yeah.
yes, a good cliffhanger. I mean, cliffhangers in anime.
Yeah, man.
So bad. That's that good. That's what makes them so bad because they're good cliffhangers, but they do it a lot.
Yeah, and to be fair, like whenever episode is good, it's never really a good time to to end it. You know, like you see, you watching an episode, like you just wanted to keep going, man, just keep going, but it's got to end at some point. You know.
I mean, that one that had action. That had some good action scenes, but like building up to the end of that episode, um, it was just a lot of discussion, a lot of talking. They shown Ichigo preparing for his training, and the bleach equivalent of a hyperbolic.
Yeah, it's heavy, pretty heavy.
Very fucking heavy. And you know, I've said it before, I love like training arcs in anime, you know. Those are probably like my favorite arcs to watch in anime. It's just watching a character go through the struggle of hitting that next level up.
Yeah.
And like putting the cliffhanger right there when he's about to start, it hurts. Yeah. I was like, oh, now I gotta wait to the next week. And that's also a thing with anime, just waiting weekly for new episodes. I'm gonna be patient, but man, got me on the edge of my chair waiting to see the next one. Also one of the reasons why I want to just read the manga, see what happens already.
Yeah, but I do love the weekly stuff though. I hate the sort of Netflix model where you just dump everything. And to me, it hits home because like I used to watch JoJo weekly, and you had that same feeling where like cliffhanger, like oh my god, what's going on? And like talk about it, it's just like a show can run from like for like you know, a whole season, and it's like for like 3 months, you know, like you're just talking about the show 3 to 6 months, you're just talking about it every week, and it generates hype, it generates a community. But when you just like drop everything at once, I find people like, oh my god, they talk about it, but then like after less than a month, people are done with it. And just like, I'm so glad Bleach is doing a weekly release. I'm curious what you think, because I just hate I just think the entire dump just like ruins the show in terms of any hype that it could generate.
I've always been one who preferred to just the dump and then you watch them all. I mean, I grew up doing the weekly. Weekly's fine. Don't get me wrong. Like the weekly, I think the weekly gives you enough time to take in what happened, you know, with the previous episode. Uh, Come back next week, get back into it. Sometimes it could be a little bit of overload with the dumps, but I've always just enjoyed doing the dumps, watching them all, getting them out the way, you know. With this, I can be a bit more patient because, you know, it's just quality. You know, it's just quality all the way through. And you can't rush. You can't rush quality. At least you shouldn't. So I don't mind the 1 week. Don't get me. I don't mind the 1 week. I just prefer to not like with anime. There's always something big happening. There's always something crazy popping off with characters and the story. I want to see what happens. You know, I just want to see what happens. I don't have to think about, man, what will happen in the next week. I don't want to have to worry about that. I just want to see it now. I guess I'm just impatient when it comes to it. But with as much action that they put in these, as much you know, combat development and all that shit, just give it to me now.
True.
And you know, actually, maybe it just depends on anime. I would say like for something like this, for 1,000, the Blood War, I could do weeks. Maybe for like a slice of life type anime, something of that nature. I would just rather watch it in the dump.
I just think that the dump is just like, I think overall it just hurts the show, in my opinion, because it's like for me, like if I'm watching it dumb, I'm like, okay, I'm excited, but then like 2 weeks, I'm done with the show.
Yeah.
Like, the show's just like you just like nobody's talking about it really, because like everything you got everything, and like you talked about it for a while, but like when you're doing weekly, just like I feel like the show lives on longer that way, and people are talking about it more, and people are more hyped for the next season.
Agreed.
I just think overall, like I said, I like the dump can be fun sometimes, but I just think overall, I think it just hurts the show longevity in terms of how long people are talking about it, and its relevance, per se.
In most cases, I was just like new animes. Like if we weren't watching Thousand Year Blood War, weekly, like we did with Chainsaw Man, and I would just wait for it to finish, and then I would go and watch it. That's what I usually do with anime nowadays. I just wait for all the episodes to come out, and then I just go through on my own and just and watch them that way. But if you got a lot of people you watch anime with, friends you discuss it with, the weekly model you can't do better than the weekly model in terms of keeping people interested.
Sure, yeah.
It's personal preference. I just prefer to just wait for it to all come out and just go through it. Yeah, I jump in on the conversation at the end. The last episode, see what people were thinking about it as I go. But yeah, one more topic on the list, and this is a movie that we watched not too long ago either. The Wes Anderson Asteroid City.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What'd you think?
I thought it was okay. We discussed it after the movie, but we just talked about it here. But I think one of the things hurts the movie is that there's not enough time for ideas to develop fully. The movie has sort of like two storylines. You have like the play, and then you have the um, people performing the play. So like the artists behind the play. So you see their perspective of making a play and how the play comes together, and then you see the actual play itself. Now the problem is that uh, the actors performing the play, they don't get that much screen time, so you don't really connect too much. At least I didn't. I didn't connect too much with the actual actors performing the play. Just because they don't have enough time available. They have like maybe like what was it, like 10 minutes, and then like a little short black and white segment, and then it's back to the actual play itself.
Yeah.
And the play itself, I thought, like I said, I just wished it had more time to develop, because some relationships, like the young geniuses and their little projects, Scarlett Johansson character, and then I forgot the other guy's name, the actor plays him, but he's in all Wes Anderson movies. But their kids sort of have a relationship, and Wes Anderson does a really good job of young love. Moonrise Kingdom was a movie completely dedicated to that, and I really love both of those characters in this new movie, but they just don't really have the time to sort of develop their relationship. Even Scarlett Johansson's character and then and father figure, their relationship, sort of the war photographer, their relationship don't really have time to develop as it could, because there was certain scenes where like they're close to being vulnerable with each other, but it never goes that far. And I'm thinking, okay, later in the movie they're gonna have a chance to sort of like have this catharsis release with each other, but it never happens.
He just like leaves, right? Like he just wakes up the next morning and
yeah, they leave because the president said, okay, it's okay, go home. And they just leave. It's like, okay,
just leaves. He doesn't say. Did she leave him?
She left him like a little note with her PO box.
I got the PO box, baby.
Let's go.
Let's go. That's all I need.
See some fan mail, but yeah, I just wish he just. And again, I've always had this model where like if an artist is trying to do something new from what they used to do it, I do get them props for that. Some people don't. Some people like the work is the work, but I tend to say, okay, Wes Anderson has a style, and he could just sort of continue doing that. But he tried something different, and it didn't work in this movie. But I do applaud him for trying to do that.
I can agree. Gotta give him props for making it, putting it out there, taking a chance with it. But with Wes Anderson, a lot of his movies, I feel like they would be considered chances compared to other things in the box office at the same time coming out with his movies. I'm not entirely sure what his movie released against. I guess is the right way to put it. What his movie released against, but If you ever look for a movie that stands out outside of the box from the usual formula, I'm always go check out a Wes Anderson movie. So,
Yeah.
coming into Asteroid City, I was a bit excited to see what he has planned. I know we saw the trailer, and I will say that the trailer didn't spoil too much about what goes on throughout the movie.
True.
And that's a good thing. But like going through it, it hits all the Wes Anderson
Checkbox.
check. Yeah, it hits the Wes Anderson checkbox, the bingo card.
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
You had the awkward dialogue. I told you before we went into the movie, you can make a drinking game. Like how many times the characters just stare at each other awkwardly with no dialogue at all, and that happens quite a few times. If we ever show this movie to our friend group on Discord that we watch movies with, we should throw that drinking game
Yeah, oh, yeah.
in, see how it goes. But I wholeheartedly agree with you when you said that there's not enough time for development. Like there was a few scenes throughout the movie that I felt were just wasted time that could have been spent further developing character relationships. Like the scenes where the kids are all like they're playing that game where you call out one name and the next person calls out the previous name and then asks one went on way too long. Like I feel like that scene went on way too long, and they played like that was like 2-3 different scenes throughout the
Yeah,
movie where
that's
they like
extreme.
just playing that game.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we got it the first time. It's like these some bright kids.
Yeah.
This is gonna this is gonna be a very long game.
True.
You don't have to like show the scenes happening throughout. Do something else. Um, I feel like I wish they had one more in detail with the alien. Like he came down, took the ball, and spoilers.
Yeah, true. Yeah, spoilers, guys.
Spoilers. It's not gonna get much better. But he comes down, takes the meteorite, goes back up in the ship, comes back later, gives it back. I think they put like a serial code or something on it, and that's all that happened with that. I kind of wish that was more development. Honestly, I'm like, you wouldn't. It's a bit of a mystery. Keep a mystery aura to it. But I feel like that was one of the most important scenes of the movie. Like in terms of events happening, the alien coming down was one of the standout scenes because throughout the rest of the movie, throughout the majority of the movie, you're just talking. You get an understanding of this location. You get an understanding of the I want to say actors because it's how I could play, but you get an understanding of the characters and like their motivations and what brought them to this area to begin with, and then the alien comes out of nowhere and it's just like people freak out. They don't even freak out. They don't even really freak out.
True.
At least not type of freak out I would expect from an alien touching down, and they just never touch on it again. I don't know. It just felt like you put this on the table, just keep it there on the table, and we just look at it and we don't say anything else about it. Don't mention it. It happened. Don't talk about it. That was kind of disappointing. I mean, overall, I enjoyed the movie. I think before we were discussing like what would we give it out of 10, I gave it a solid 7. Not a bad movie. Not a bad movie at all. Acquired taste.
True. Yeah.
Acquired taste for sure. There's some people I will not show this movie to because I don't think they even want to watch the entirety of it. Some people I will.
Yeah.
But
I mentioned this too after the movie, but like this isn't the first movie where he's done a sort of the story within the story type thing. The previous movie he did was The French Dispatch, and that does it too. It's by like a newspaper, and you have a sort of stories in a newspaper, and then you sort of see them make how they acquired those stories or how they made them. And that movie does it really well. I mean, he does a really great job of balancing all the stories and all the writers and all the characters within those stories each. And I think there's like maybe 4 or 5 stories, and it's really great. And it was weird to watch this movie to see like he's sort of it isn't as good as his previous one. Like the concept isn't as fleshed out, but I enjoyed the movie. Out of 10, I probably give it like a 5. It's 50-50 for me. There's some good parts about the movie, but I guess I just wish that he juggled things a lot better. Um,
Oh, the cast too. That's another thing. I, the cast. I don't think the cast was utilized as well as it could have been. Like top notch cast. You know,
mm,
Scarlett Johansson. It's like Jason.
oh, Jason Schwartz.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jason.
that's the war
Yeah,
for
Jason Schwartz. Um, Tom Hanks. Let's see who else.
Adrian Brody.
A lot of big names, you know, and
Mm,
they performed. I think they all performed their roles well.
mm.
But I don't think the script itself was good enough for the actors performing the script. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they definitely elevated the script. I think if you take those actors out, this movie probably becomes like a 3.
Yeah, you play stuff like that cast with just some not so well known, not so
Average, just
yeah,
average
just
Hollywood.
average.
Yeah,
Yeah, like oh, who's this guy? He's new on the scene. Yeah, some new actors got him in here. Yeah, I'll probably give it. I'll probably be at a 5
yeah,
myself. The cast is worth 2 points.
true. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
2 points by itself. Just seeing them on the screen, acting, seeing Tom Hanks with the grumpy grandfather role,
Mhm.
and Scarlett Johansson is beautiful in that movie.
Oh yeah.
Like her character, absolutely gorgeous. That air of mystery around her. Like, I wanted to know more about her.
Mhm.
Like every time she was on the screen, I just wanted to know more about her character and see some development there. Um, the little girl's pretty funny too. Like his daughter's just hilarious. I'll see what his next one is. I'm looking forward to seeing what this next movie is. I would say not the best that he's put out for sure. There's probably gonna be some people out there in the Wes Anderson community might look at this as like a masterpiece.
Sure. Yeah.
I can see the reasoning for that one.
Yeah.
Opinion is opinion, but there's no Fantastic Mr. Fox for me.
Yeah. Exactly, man.
No Fantastic Mr.
Mr.
Fox.
Fox. Is that your favorite Wes Anderson film?
That's probably that's my favorite. That's my favorite. Um, I think I prefer his stop motion like animation movies to go live action. I know that was that one aquatic. It's like
Life Aquatic of Steve Zissou. I think that's what it's called.
yeah. Like, I enjoyed that one in terms of like live action. Uh, that's a better movie than than this this one than Asteroid City. But his animated stop motions, it's like my favorite
Mhm.
type of movies from him. Fantastic Mr. Fox, Isle of Dogs was really good. Prefer seeing him in that medium.
True.
If I had to pick.
I think Fantastic Star is probably my favorite of mine too. I think it's a tie right now between Fantastic Mr. Fox and the Grand Budapest Hotel. I think the Grand Budapest is probably I think that's probably his best live action one. We gotta watch it. I would say it's probably his best. The French Dispatch is pretty good. Um, I like all his movies, but like I said, I think Grand Budapest Hotel is like everything just clicked. I don't know. It's like one of those things where like you're watching. I don't know if you ever like watch or listen to like an artist. Well, I think music's probably a better example to use, but I don't know if you listen to artists where like they're like listen to an album and then the next album you listen to is like something clicks.
Yeah.
To me, it's like Pink Floyd or listen to them. I think Atomic Heart Murder. I listened to that, and then Dark Side of the Moon happened. I listened to that afterward. And I was like, oh, they figured it out. I think Grand Budapest tells the movie where like for me, just everything just clicked. Oh, he figured it out. I mean, his movies are all good. I liked all his movies, but that one's just like everything just clicked. I feel like he just figured out the perfect recipe for a live action movie.
Okay, then I definitely gotta check out. We gotta watch that one of these nights. Maybe bring it up on here if want to do that. But I think that might be the end of the first episode, man.
Oh man,
All the
yeah.
topics. We went through all the topics. We got them out of the way.
Yeah, man. Felt good to get that out, man. Definitely felt good.
Yeah, some feels pretty therapeutic to a degree, especially talking about like the remakes, reboots, and like getting on the industry and how they treat the media that we just love.
Yeah.
There's some therapeutic nature to it. So, I brought us in. How about you take us out?
Yeah, guys, that was the first episode of podcast, man. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week, I'm sure. Hopefully, I would like for us to talk about Barbie Oppenheimer next week. We're definitely gonna try to see that sometime next week. But yeah, guys, thanks for joining us. Hopefully,
Thank you.
this will be the start of something great. So, if you're one of the first ones watching this,
We appreciate it.
yeah,
Stick around for what we put out next. We're gonna try to keep it consistent and keep the good content coming along.